Testing. Hello, everybody. We're going to start in just a couple of minutes. If you could just take a seat. There are a few seats up here. Just a couple if you want to try to get a little closer. We appreciate it. No, not those are taken, Joanne. You're good, Joanne. You're good where you are. Thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate it. We'll be starting in just a couple minutes.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you all for coming. By virtue of the fact that you're here tonight, I know that this is an important issue for you. Let me do some acknowledgments before we get into our program. We have many of our elected officials here. Orange County Commissioner Christine Moore is on the way, and so when she comes, she'll join the dialogue with us as well. But let me recognize the current Apopka Mayor, Mr. Brian Nelson, somewhere there. There he is. Thank you, Mayor Nelson. Another one of our colleague mayors, Mayor Dale McDonough from the city of Maitland. We have also former Apopka Mayor, Joe Kilsheimer is here. Apopka City Commissioner Kyle Becker. And the former District 2 Orange County Commissioner Rod Love, somewhere here in the room as well. Okay, there he is. So let me just say thank you. If I missed any elected officials, Commissioner Doug Bankston is here as well. Sorry about that, Commissioner. Do we have any others? Looks like we covered them for now. I brought back up tonight after a 38-year career in law enforcement. I learned to always bring back up with me. So we have our great county staff who's here with me tonight. If I can't answer your questions, one of them can answer your question, I can assure you. Let me just say this to you, that this is all about community engagement. Tonight marks, I believe, the 117th time that I have spoken on this issue within Orange County. And before we get to the end, there will be hundreds of additional opportunities as well. During the time that I actively campaigned for Orange County Mayor from July of 2017 until August of 2018. I was elected August of 2018, but I was sworn in on December the 4th. So it has been 1 year and a day, believe it or not, since I've been the mayor in Orange County. Had a fantastic time in this first year. The maximum period of time that I can be Orange County mayor is for 2 consecutive 4-year terms, or 8 years, and 1 year of it is already gone. So I want to make certain that we get the job done. So I'm getting some feedback here. Make sure I might have to stay behind these. Okay, let's try this. All right, there we go. I want to make sure that we get things done. During that 13-month period of time that I actively campaigned, I went to over 1,000 different community meetings, forums, debates, and the like. I listened to the nearly 1.4 million people who live here in Orange County. And there were some priorities that the people that you said to me that you wanted us to address. So I just want to check tonight to verify if we're still on course. How many of you in this room believe that we have a traffic congestion problem in Orange County? Raise your hands. Okay. Now, how many of you want the leadership in this community to do some congestion because of an accident on our highways? And in fact, I live about 13 miles from my downtown office. That commute on a daily basis is unpredictable. It could take me anywhere from 20 minutes to 50 minutes, depending upon the Interstate 4 and the traffic. Because I'm traveling by automobile. In order for us to adequately address the transportation needs of our community, not just today, but decades from now, 50 years from now, we have to make some decisions now. Now, we're a growing community. Orange County is growing by a net of nearly 1,000 new people each week. We have 75 million tourists who are coming here. The international airport, on a rolling 12-month basis, now has surpassed 50 million passengers who are coming here. When I talk to the economists, what they're saying is this is not likely going to stop anytime soon. So if we want our commutes to be more predictable, we have to look at multimodal solutions to allow people to have the option to commute to their destinations by other than automobile. What we're endeavoring to do with these community forums is to do a lot of listening. Now, I have done my homework. I've looked around the country. I've looked around the globe at how major metropolitan communities are trying to solve their transportation issues. With that, what I do know is, as we look forward to the solution is going to be costly. While we agree that there's a traffic congestion problem, we agree that you want us to do something about it, we may not agree on the best way to go about doing that. But I believe that the best option that we have that has the appropriate balance of who pays for it is through a sales tax initiative. It is my intent that in November of 2020, that there will be a ballot initiative in which the electorate in Orange County, the 800,000+ registered voters in Orange County, have the opportunity to vote for a solution that will provide the revenues that will be adequate enough to address this broad-based concern that we have. I'm often asked, Mayor, can you look within your existing county budget to find savings to fund the transportation solution? Yes, we look. Every good government should look for opportunities to improve its government services and reduce their costs. I can tell you in this first year that I've been mayor, we've done that. And we've saved tens of millions of dollars by making changes to how we deliver our services. And we're going to continue to do that. But the transportation solution for the challenges that we have will take billions of dollars, not 10 million, billions of dollars. The presentation tonight is going to provide you with information. It'll be the predicate by which we will build upon taking your input to give us the things that you want to see this transportation system evolve to. What is it that you want to see in our community? I believe that since our county is 1,000 square miles, I want to make certain that the electorate here, those 800,000+ people, see a benefit to them individually in order for this tax to pass. In order for us to ensure that we are meeting your individual concerns, we have to listen to you. So tonight, we're going to ask you about what you believe are some of those solutions. We have decided that the sales tax for transportation infrastructure, surtax, a 1%, a 1 penny tax, would be shared with our municipalities. In some of the initiatives that we've had before, 1997, for example, there was a ballot initiative then. The two heads of that ballot initiative, at the time the City of Orlando, and schools, to build schools, to invest in the capital expenditures related to schools. It failed. So another group of community leaders decided to try it again in 2003. At that time, Buddy Dyer was a brand new mayor in Orlando. He was elected in 2003. Rich Crotty was the county mayor, and it was a 1 penny sales tax. It failed. We have evaluated why it failed. Since then, Orange County has continued to grow. 16 years has passed since anyone really was bold enough to look at some type of dedicated funding source for a solution. Here I am, saying that we cannot afford to wait another 16 years. If we continue to just kick the can down the road and do nothing, our congestion is going to get worse. I've been to New York City. I've been to Los Angeles and other places. I was in London, England about 3 weeks ago. Some of the commutes, if you're in West Coast in California, people take 2 hours to drive 20 miles. 2 hours to work, 2 hours home. I don't know about you, but that's not what I want to do. My time is precious. Your time is precious. And so we want to make certain that if we can improve the quality of life in Orange County by improving our transportation system, we want to do that. Now we're addressing housing. We have a housing affordability crisis in America, not just Orange County, but in America, especially in major metropolitan or urban communities. I don't believe we could adequately solve the housing crisis without also addressing the transportation crisis. So let's move to now providing you with some information. We will then open the mics up, do some listening. I'll come back and talk to you a bit more about why we have chosen the sales tax as the primary option. The next person I'm going to have come up is Ms. Carla Bell Johnson, one of our assistant county administrators, been with Orange County for a long time, engineer by profession, one of the smartest workers we have within Orange County.
Well.
She's with us to help try to solve this. And let me also introduce you to the Orange County administrator. I was looking for him a few minutes ago. I didn't see him, but he's in the room. Byron Brooks. Byron's part of this wonderful team that I have, formerly the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Orlando for nearly 16 years, and then prior to that, he was Executive Director for Links, and prior to that, he was Deputy County Administrator for Orange County. And my Chief of Staff is here as well. Ms. Roseanne Harrington is here. And our Director of Communications, Dr. Jeff Williamson, is here as well. And then a whole host of other senior people within Orange County. But I'm going to turn it over to Carla, who's going to provide you with some information, and then we'll go forward. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor. As Mayor Demings mentioned, I'm here to just give you some background information on our transportation system, all intended to educate you on transportation within Orange County and really frame the conversation that we hope to have following these presentations. So first of all, just to kind of orient you to Orange County, we have a population of about 1.3 million people today. Mayor Demings mentioned the rate of growth that we're experiencing in our region, but we start that with 1.3 million people, making us the 5th largest county based on population in the state of Florida out of 67 counties. 90% of our population lives within urban areas of the county, with the remaining 10% in rural areas. And if you look at the size of the county by land area, we cover nearly 1,000 square miles. There are 13 municipalities within the county, and so in the case of District 2 here, we're talking about, it's important that we frame that by thinking about the commute. And so one of the first questions that we want to answer very clearly is, how is transportation funded? There are 5 primary funding sources for transportation that you see here. The big picture here is historically there have been some transportation funding sources that we've relied on in the past, and that includes gas taxes and impact fees. Gas taxes consist of the fuel tax that we pay each time we gas our vehicles. And then the impact fees are the fees that developers who are developing within our community pay to help mitigate the impact that they have on our community. There are also a few restricted sources, such as community redevelopment areas or other trust funds that have been established with a very specific purpose, and in this case, a purpose focused on transportation that we also rely on as a funding source. And more recently, because of the traditional transportation funding sources like gas tax and impact fees not being able to meet our transportation needs, we've had to rely more increasingly on sources like our property taxes, which are the taxes we pay on property owned within the county. And then the sales taxes are the taxes that we pay on certain goods and services that we consume. And so now that we know what the primary funding sources are, how do we use those transportation sources currently? What you see here is a general overview of the types of transportation improvements that we typically focus on. These are the key components of our transportation system in the county, and they are roadways resurfacing, traffic signals and intersection improvements, bicycle and pedestrian safety, street lighting, and mass transit. So I'll touch on each of those very briefly now. In Orange County, there are approximately 2,700 miles of roadway and under Orange County's jurisdiction. And to give you some perspective on the cost of widening roadways, it costs more than $3 million per lane mile to widen a roadway. So if you're widening a roadway, say from 2 to 4 lanes, that roadway would cost about $12 million for just 1 mile of roadway, and that's typically because we have to completely reconstruct all 4 lanes. When we look at our roadway network within the county, nearly one out of every 4 of our roads is failing. And that simply means that they're carrying more traffic than they were designed or have the capacity to handle, and therefore we experience congestion. I want to point out right now that our major highways, such as Interstate 4, which is well under construction right now, just in case you didn't notice, and our toll roads, which are funded by the tolls that drivers pay to use those roads, are really not what we're discussing today. What's equally important as having roadways is obviously being able to maintain those roadways into the future. The most visible representation of that maintenance is what you see here. It's resurfacing. We currently resurface roadways in the county every 12 to 15 years, with the average cost of that resurfacing being $175,000 per mile. Last year, the county was able to resurface about 185 miles of roadway. But in reality, if we are wanting to keep up with the average lifespan of a roadway pavement and avoid the higher costs of having to rebuild roadways that have deteriorated, we really should be resurfacing those roadways every 10 years instead of every 12 to 15 years. And so that really means we should have resurfaced about 270 miles of roadway each year. Another key component of our transportation system are the traffic signals and the intersections and the technology that are necessary to support those signals. Sometimes the congestion that we experience in traffic is not just the roadway itself, it's actually the intersections as well. And so I think about this particular area, and I think about the intersection of Apopka Vineland Road and Clarkona-Ocoee Road as an example. The more efficient our signals and intersections are, the less delay we experience in traffic. Right now in our system, there are 585 existing traffic signals. The average cost of a new traffic signal is approximately $350,000. And really, in order for the traffic signal systems to function properly and to communicate with each other, we have a network of fiber optic cable that is really a critical part of that technology that has to exist in order for all the communications to happen and for signals to be sequenced so we move and progress through our roadway corridors best. Right now, there are about 240 miles of fiber optic cable in place within the county. And this past year, we were able to budget 15 intersections for improvement. And those improvements include things like adding turn lanes and, of course, signals to those intersections. Bicycle and pedestrian safety are of critical importance. Unfortunately, in recent years, Central Florida has consistently been ranked at the top of the list of the most dangerous places in the nation for pedestrians. And we take that very seriously, and that ranking is according to the Dangerous by Design report that's published annually by Smart Growth America and the National Complete Streets Coalition. When we think about pedestrians, the first thing that most of us think about is kind of the basic need of having sidewalks that support the needs of pedestrians. Sidewalks cost about $264,000 per mile to install. We last year were able to install about 8 new miles of sidewalk in the county. We also have a policy of incorporating bicycle facilities such as bike lanes and more recently multi-purpose paths within our roadway corridors to provide better and safer accommodations for bicyclists and for pedestrians. As it relates to safety, one key matter that we hear very consistently about, and we know this is an issue of importance here in District 2, is roadway street lighting. When we talk about street lighting right now, we're referencing some of our major roadways, not necessarily the roadways that we step onto when we walk out of our homes each day. We're currently on the end of a 5-year program to install street lighting along some of those major roadways, and at the conclusion of that program, we will have lit about 85 miles of roadway. However, we know that there are well over 190 more miles of unlit major roadways that really need attention. And in addition to those 190 miles of unlit major roadways, we know that from a pedestrian safety perspective, there are a number of additional locations where we need lighting to address pedestrians that need to cross safely at night. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to turn our attention to the topic of mass transit, and the mayor mentioned that in his opening remarks. Our transportation system is multimodal, with mass transit being one of those modes of travel, so it's the way people travel. The county currently funds the LYNX bus system utilizing property taxes. So of those 5 sources that I referenced, property taxes is how we currently fund LYNX. And we have approximately $55 million budgeted in the current fiscal year for the county to support LYNX's operations. Also, in addition to LYNX, SunRail is an existing mass transit mode within our region. And although the Florida Department of Transportation currently operates SunRail, that responsibility is scheduled to transfer to us as local governments in the next few years, which will require an ongoing funding commitment from the county for continued operations of SunRail. There have also been a number of additional mass transit options throughout the county studied in the past. And I want to make that really clear that when we talk about transit, we immediately focus on LYNX and SunRail as what we have in place. But we've done planning for a number of other mass transit modes that can connect to those systems. And those include things like additional rail connections here in Northwest Orange County, as well as connections to places like the airport. The mayor mentioned the level of activity at our airport. And roadways like State Road 436, 441 have all been studied for enhanced transit systems, in some cases rail, bus rapid transit, even light rail has been studied in the past. But the reality is none of those projects has moved forward because we've not had the funding to bring them to fruition. And so as I close on a topic of mass transit, I'm going to ask Mr. Jim Harrison, who is the CEO of LYNX, to come and spend a little more time and more focused discussion with you on that topic.
Thank you, Carla. As Carla said, I'm Jim Harrison, and I just want to spend a few more minutes talking about the area's transit system and some of the challenges that this region faces. So I'm going to talk mostly about the LYNX bus system, and LYNX is the working name for the Central Florida Regional Transportation Authority, which provides the bus, primarily the bus transit system, to Orange County, with the goal of really providing safe and reliable transportation throughout the service region. And when I talk about the service region, what I mean there is that LYNX serves the 3-county area of Seminole, Orange, and Osceola counties, which includes just over 2,500 square miles and over 2 million people. LYNX has around 300 buses running on just over 70 routes throughout the Tri-County region. LYNX also has a number of flexible bus service areas called Neighbor LYNX throughout the area, and with this system, LYNX provided just over 25 million passenger trips last year. Let me talk just a little bit about the money aspect of it. As like most agencies, LYNX has both day-to-day operating needs and long-term capital needs, and that long-term capital funding comes largely from the federal and state sources. But most of the funding for the day-to-day operations of LYNX comes from local sources. And as Carla mentioned, the vast majority of that comes from Orange County. Another 17% of our revenue comes from passenger fares, and this is a typical percent across the nation. The rest coming from federal and state grants and other sources. Let me talk a little bit about what that funding is used for. LYNX's primary mission is what we call our fixed route service, and these are the 40-foot and 60-foot buses that you've seen all around the county. You may not be quite as familiar with the rest of our family of services. NeighborLink, which I mentioned earlier, is the flexible service that covers areas of the county that may need transit but may not have the need for a full-size bus. Many of you may have seen in the downtown Orlando area the limo bus system, which is part of the downtown Orlando BRT circulator. Our van pool commuter services program, which is essentially our carpooling program, is very popular, very successful. Lynx provides Road Ranger service along I-4, and then Access Lynx is our door-to-door paratransit system for those most in need and disadvantaged in our communities, many that can't access other services. System-wide, Lynx has a little over 4,300 bus stops. Only about a quarter of those stops have shelters on them. And I know that that's a concern in this district specifically. Lynx also has 9 super stops and 7 transfer centers and the large central station downtown. Let me tell you a little bit about who rides Lynx, who takes those 25 million trips a year that I mentioned earlier. The majority of our riders are employed full-time, primarily in the service industries. Over 60% of our riders do not have access to a car. Half of our riders use Lynx as their primary method to get to work. And over half of our riders have to take 2 or more buses, making a transfer in order to complete their trip. And this is one of the most common issues that we hear about, is that it takes too long to make a trip. Folks have to wait too long between buses. So let me tell you a little bit about how often the buses run and the wait times. The large majority of our bus routes serving the region have wait times of 30 minutes or more between buses. In fact, nearly half of those routes are 60 minutes or more between buses. Of the 70-plus routes that the Lynx operates, only 5 of these run every 15 minutes or less. One of the reasons that we see these long waits between buses is that the Lynx transit fleet has not kept up with population growth in the region. And of course, as you know, Central Florida is one of the fastest growing regions in the nation, and naturally, as the area has grown, congestion increases, and the Lynx buses are in the same traffic as we all are. So with less buses and more traffic, the delays between buses has grown. Also, just talking about our buses, as our fleet has not grown with the region, our buses have also gotten older. The federal guideline for replacement of a bus is every 500,000 miles. Nearly half of our fleet is over this mileage. And we do have excellent mechanics that keep these buses running and keep them safe, but that gets more expensive with each year. So let me stop talking about buses for just a moment. And Carla mentioned the Sunrail system. Let me talk just briefly about Sunrail. And Sunrail, of course, is the region's commuter rail system, which serves also the Lynx Tri-County area, as well as one station in Volusia County. And the route is about 49 miles long with 16 stations overall. And if you take Sunrail, you're probably aware that it is currently geared towards work commuters. So it runs only on weekdays. And these trains run every 30 minutes during the morning and evening rush hour, and then it's 90 to 120 minutes between trains outside of rush hour. And of course, as you know, there's no weekend or holiday service. So let me just wrap up the transit portion of my discussion with a look at how our funding in this region compares with other similar regions across the nation. This chart shows how much other regions in the nation and across the country invest per person in the region. The column in pink shows the relative investment per capita, and you'll notice that Central Florida is at the bottom of this particular list. So on that note, I will close my presentation and invite Mayor Demings back to the podium. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carla and Jim. Let me do something before we go to questions. Carla, I just kind of want to give the audience a feel for where we stand with our millage rate. I know you have a slide that I believe that shows the millage rate. If not, I'll talk about it in either case. Do we have it? while they're coming, I think it's important. What I want to do is try to demonstrate to you the value that we have in Orange County, being a relatively low millage rate county. Our taxes are relatively low compared to the region. Here in Orange County, for example, our current millage rate is 4.4347, one of the lowest here in the area. If we look to solve this challenge with increase in property taxes, a half mil in Orange County generates about $72 million on an annual basis. A full mill generates about $144 million on an annual basis. We have the gas tax, the local option gas tax. So when you go to your pumps and you pump gasoline into your automobiles, you pay a gas tax. If we increase the gas tax to the maximum allowed under the current state law, we could produce an additional $27 million. The sales tax, on the other hand, would produce an estimate of $600 million on an annual basis. To me, the beauty of the sales tax is the fact that 51% of those revenues will be paid by the people who are visiting us, the tourists. Whereas if we looked at a property tax solution, 100% of the cost to find the solutions to the challenges we have will be on the backs of the people who live here. The sales tax, again, to me, 51% of someone else pays for it. The gas tax, on the other hand, a declining revenue source. Why? Because of federal standards, vehicles manufactured today are more fuel efficient. We have hybrids. We have electric vehicles. So that tax, the gas tax, is really a declining revenue source for us. And if the only solution that we offered was one of an automobile, whether it's electric or gasoline, we still have not addressed reducing the number of vehicles on the roadway. We couldn't build roads in the time to be able to address the challenges we have in a timely manner. So, what we'll do, seems like they're having a little bit of difficulty. Okay. Now, if you look at this chart, within Central Florida counties, with the exception of Brevard County, Orange County has the lowest millage rate within the region. I believe there's a slide that shows, let's go to, this is the gas tax I talked about. You can see there in 2020, it's projected that the gas tax will bring in about $43 million. If we increase it to the max, we could bring in an additional $27 million. Won't get us to the billions. If we have a multimodal solution, one that could contemplate light rail, expansion of sun rail, or other types of transit that could go into the northwest sector of our county, the southwest sector of our county, coming off of the main line downtown that would go northeast or southeast, each one of those spurs that would allow us to improve the convenience of commuter rail, if you will, could cost $200 to $400 million per spur. We know that from past efforts to look at light rail solutions in different corridors here within our community. So if we added just 4 spurs and we take the high of the $400 million, we'd be talking about $1.6 billion. And we would not have done anything to improve the link service, the connectivity, the frequency, that riders, in order to improve the ridership, it'd have to be convenient. It will have to connect you to your desired destinations. And that's the challenge for us. We'll go to the next slide. Let's see if this. Okay, so when we look at the current sales tax within the region, currently, Seminole County, the total sales tax in Seminole County is 7% because they have the state 6% and then they have a 1% local tax option for government infrastructure surtax. Osceola County today is currently 7.5%. Just looking at some other metropolitan counties around Florida, Broward County is already at 7%. Hillsborough County passed the sales tax this November of last year, 8.5%. Volusia County is at 6.5%. Palm Beach County is at 7%. Lake County, here within our region, is already at 7%. Anybody know what it is in Orange County today? 6.5%. At the top, we're at 6.5%. So a full penny would take us to 7.5%. Across America, the average sales tax in metropolitan cities around America is somewhere around 8.5 to 8.75%. So people still come here because they view this as an area where they get value for their money. Okay. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Jane Wartrell, and we will now get into listening to you. If you have solutions, you have questions, she's going to help moderate that portion. I know we do have microphones throughout the room that will allow you to be heard by everyone here. And of course, this is being taped live on Orange TV as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Jane.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I know you've been sitting patiently, and we hope you've gleaned a lot of good information from this. We're excited to get to this part of the town hall meeting. It's when we get to hear from you. So you heard the state of transportation in Orange County, and it's your chance now to help us define what it is you want, what you see as a solution, and your vision. So this meeting is about the opportunity. I know it's hard to see the slide, but I'll just say it. It's an opportunity to hear your ideas on specific transportation solutions to improve our community. It's not a session to hear from us about what our transportation plan is. We've had meetings where people have come up and said, I want to hear your plan. You are the plan, so to speak. You're going to give us ideas and solutions so we can formulate a plan. So we need your input. So there's no plan without your help. So what we're going to do is Jeff Williamson, Dr. Jeff Williamson, right here with the microphone, will be up there. You can line up behind him, give us your suggestions. Down here at my feet, it's a 2-minute monitor that will go off. The countdown is there. You have 2 minutes to give us your ideas. Be as brief as possible, and if you have real specific things, we're going to send you to an expert. And there are a lot of experts here from Orange County. So also, we're going to be over here. If you take a look on the side, ladies and gentlemen, please wave your hands. There are categories where we are going to write down so that we don't leave here without your specific ideas. There's public transportation, pedestrian and bike safety, roads, technology, traffic signals and streetlights, intersections, and other. Now, many of you took a survey when you first came in, and we'll be reading. I have some of the comment cards from that survey. We'll be reading them, but if you don't hear them, they will be turned in as part of the plan. And also, we want to get to as many comments as possible, so I'm going to read one card first. It's from Amanda, and she talks about the area of Beggs Road and Edgewater Drive. She says Beggs Road and Edgewater Drive's merge is terrible. She wants to update the signage and the lighting. And we understand that lighting is a huge issue here in District 2. In fact, how many people are from District 2? Could you raise your hand tonight and let us know? Okay, we've got a pretty good showing. Thank you. How many of you use bus systems or light rail to get to where you go? Okay, I see about 5 or 6 hands. How many people are commuters where you use your motorists? That's your primary form of transportation. Okay, I see a lot more hands with that. Okay, so with that, Jeff, we'd like to get started with some of the comments.
I am. We're going to start with Marilyn, who is here. And by the way, if you cannot make it to the microphone, just kind of raise your hand and we'll try and get a microphone to you. But if you're able, please do come in line. We're going to start here with Marilyn, who has a question, who lives somewhere near Ocoee. What's your question,
Marilyn, could you stand up, please?
Is it, if possible?
Thank you, Marilyn.
Good evening. It's actually a comment. My name is Marilyn Baldwin, and I live in West Orlando, and I would like to urge Mayor Demings and the staff to please dedicate some of this funding for our transportation disadvantaged program that assists those of us with disabilities, the most vulnerable citizens in our counties who are unable to drive ourselves because of a disability. And we ask that you please consider the citizens with disabilities that I represent. I am on the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board of Metro Plan, and we thank Lynx and we thank Orange County for the funding that they provide. Thank you.
So Marilyn, you would like to see more from Lynx, perhaps more connectivity, more frequent? Is that something you'd like to see?
More frequent, because the more you do for our regular fixed route bus system, the more we're able to do for our Access Links programs. And that will reduce the ride times for our individuals who use the transportation services for dialysis, for cancer treatment, and it will enable more persons with disabilities to travel to and from work and educational opportunities.
Thank you, ma'am. We
Fantastic.
really appreciate
Thank you, Marilyn.
that comment.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Joy Canales.
All right, Jane, we have Joanne.
Joanne,
our
do
friend
you
Joanne.
Joanne, do you live in District 2?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I live in 32746. That's Lake Mary.
Okay.
And I would like to get the bus system, the bus line on South Country Club Road from Seminole State College to the you call it the Sunhill train station in Lake Mary, because it's supposed to connect to be stranded, and we need to have this bus system back onto 434 back onto the how do you call it, the country, well, the place right next to the pole in the bowling alley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Bus pass card that I'd be able to ride free of charge. I do. What's the name of this thing? It's Oviedo Boulevard that we like to have that bus right back on there.
from David, from the people of Lockhart, which I know is a great organization, and yes, a great group. Are there plans to improve Edgewater Drive shoulders drainage? So there is an issue with Edgewater Drive and the shoulders drainage, which we know is big in a lot of communities. Thank you, David, for your comment. Jeff?
Jane, I think we should remind everyone that we are going live right now on Orange TV. We are streaming live on TV and on the web.
Right.
So everyone, you are live. Just
You
FYI on that.
You can go to ocfl.net, and when you go to that page, you can look for Orange TV, click on that, and you can watch us live. That's ocfl.net. Okay.
Jane, I have Charles, who has some information he'd like to share.
Hi, Charles. Do you live in District 2?
No, but I work in District 2
You do
during
work-
disasters.
Great. Thank
When
you.
it comes down to charities, I do disaster response. And I speak on behalf of 2 Weeks to Make This. 501c3 charities who are public safety organizations and their presence need to be known in our growing overcrowded roads and highways. 501c3 responders, in order to activate green emergency lights, be emergency vehicle operator certified, EVOC, and responding to an incident. 501c3 charity public safety organizations like Emergency Rapid Response Team, Team Rubicon, one of my favorite disaster relief organizations, Salvation Army and American Red Cross needs green emergency lights to respond to incidents. Green emergency lights have right of way, but need to abide by traffic laws and cannot go 20 miles per hour over the speed limit and cannot blow through red lights. Only exception is when green emergency response vehicles equipped with green emergency lights comes to a full and complete stop and safe to cross with no oncoming traffic. Public safety organizations who have green emergency lights are as follows: disaster response relief, disaster search and rescue, basic life support, human trafficking intervention, which I do, amber response, which I also do, and public safety, which my organization is all about.
So, Charles, you're for green street lighting, and I think street lighting is a huge issue. It's a huge issue here.
Green emergency lighting for us vehicles. In
Okay,
other words,
thank you.
we're solid greens. In other words, the green emergency lights are actually for our response vehicles to be put on. In other words, we don't use reds, we don't use blues, we use green because we are all for safety, and I've been doing it for 25 years, and our roads
Thank
are
you.
now worse.
Thank you, Charles.
All right, Charles, thank you very much.
Speaking of lighting, Jeff, I have a comment card from Antonio. He asks if there's going to be lighting and parking plans for Riverside Park, in Riverside Acres, and Lockhart. So lighting is a huge issue, and I know someone's writing that down right now. Lighting and parking plans in Riverside Park and Riverside Acres in Lockhart. Okay,
Hey,
Jeff.
Hey, Charles, would you give one of those copies to perhaps Eric over there on the green tie so we can have a copy of the documentation? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Jane, I have Kimberly.
Hey, Kimberly, can you tell us where you live in District 2?
Swain Road, Apopka.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting on this forum tonight, and I'm still a bit on the fence about whether to support the penny tax or not. Most of us out this way are almost always paying tolls everywhere we go, and I know that's not part of the discussion tonight. Maybe I could hold that myself. I can't see my notes if you do that. Okay. For example, when I attend Orange County Board of County Commissioners meetings, it costs me $12.32 in tolls to go round trip. And not to mention that people like me who watch their houses torn down for the Wekiva Parkway have already paid a great price for the improved transportation in our communities. I know we're behind, and you talked about resurfacing, but our enclave, Swain Road residents, and several others couldn't be here tonight and are too shy to speak. Hi, thank you, Christine, for being here. But we already spend our own money maintaining the county right-of-way, which Orange County has refused to do over the years, and I'd like to get some attention to that. There are public health, public safety, emergency access issues, and drainage issues. And in fact, the mail carrier even got stuck and won't deliver past a certain point down our road. So for me to consider spending more money on transportation, I would need to have a commitment that the basic public safety needs of existing Orange County residents like us are going to be met.
Okay.
25 seconds. Yikes. I also have examples of safety issues, and like the intersection of Haas Road and Mount Plymouth Road.
What are those two roads?
Haas Road and Mount Plymouth.
All right.
Thank you.
There are staff members here. We thank you very much for your comments. Let's see. All right.
Jane, we have Sally.
All right, Sally, welcome. Do you live in District 2?
No, but I drive all over Orange County.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, for the record, I adamantly oppose the proposed Orange County transportation sales tax increase. Yes, Orange County transportation system is a disaster and it's getting worse, but more money from the people will not solve the reckless spending, reckless growth management, and the fact that the corporations don't pay their fair share. It's a never-ending situation. No more money from the people. It's time to go for the tourist taxes and also for the corporations. Do that first, and then we'll talk about the other. There's multiple other options that would be less expensive to the people. So we need to go with real solutions. Let's be honest about all the options, and let's deal with what we need to do for the people. Mayor Dimmings, you're an excellent politician. Sorry, I don't trust politicians. I watched your video. It's perfect. It's a perfect political propaganda, spewing the facts. And I'm challenging again to a transportation forum summit. Let's have an honest debate. Let's put everything on the table about the cost and what we can do. The other thing, the tourist development tax, you always say, let the tourists pay, let the tourists pay. The tourist development tax, which, yes, is state funded, is a state deal, but the commission and all the people here should be knocking on Tallahassee's door saying, change the bad policy. We don't have to keep bad policy. We don't have to keep expanding the convention center when we don't need it. Let the tourists pay. The other thing is, yes, toll taxes do matter. It's another state issue. We got to deal with the state too. We pay for transportation for the toll roads. So to go and say, oh, it's only a penny, well, it's a lot more than that when you go add it up for what it's going to cost these people, everybody, for us for a year. So that is another key piece of it. The other thing, Mayor Demings, I ask you questions and you never answer. Why do you never answer? I was at the commission meeting this week. I asked you a couple of questions, confirming when the county would take the vote, and also asking you, did you sign your petition to give the people the right to vote on toll taxes? Why
Thank you,
do
Sally.
you refuse it? You say you care about our opinion,
Sally.
but you don't seem to be listening.
Thank you. And this is a listening session, so we certainly appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Is strictly in regards to Sunrail. So I understand that Sunrail was meant to complement the commuter schedule, so it's just weekdays and during business hours, but the route is exclusively north to south. So we're missing huge swaths of the population that are westward, whether it's Forest City, Apopka, Altamont, Longwood, and a significant portion of this population, I commute to Lake Mary or Orlando. So I think we have a significant opportunity for growth. Is it feasible to add even one lateral east to west type line to pull in all that commuter traffic?
Yes. So your solution would be, let's get a spur out this way.
Just one little one for us, and then we'll connect with the north to south. And I think we have enough people to make it financially feasible.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
She just wants one little spur, Jane.
Just one little spur, which I think, yes, which is in the billions, but it's still a spur. Okay. Who do we have? Nell, if you want to come to the front, to the side for a moment, you can talk to Mayor Demings for a second, and he'll fill you in on the costs. Thank you.
Jane, you ready for Amanda?
I'm ready for
Amanda.
I think I read one of your comments.
You did.
Okay. Welcome, Amanda.
Okay. I just wanted to quickly say to Mayor Demings and to the county commissioners to thank you for carving time out of your schedule to address the transportation issue and problems that we're having in this area. I'm a homeowner. I live in Long Lake Villas, which is actually at the corner here of Hiawassee and Beggs Road. Our community is being hit very hard by the affordable housing crisis. We have more residents that are allowing their friends and their family to move in to their homes. Mm-hmm. And these homes were built with only 2-car driveways, so all these people coming in have nowhere to park their cars, or they're parking into the streets. We have Grove Oak Drive and Viewpoint are one of our highest roads that are the most congested. We're having problems with county vehicles coming into our community due to all of this congestion in our subdivision. The school buses aren't able even to pick up the children to go to school. So it's starting to actually affect our children making it to school on time, or even at school period, because sometimes the buses aren't even coming into our subdivision because they can't. They can't maneuver around all the vehicles in the roads. And it's also, we have elderly folks, and they're scared that the emergency vehicles aren't going to make it to their home, fire trucks and things like that. So if we could put that on the list of someone to look at Long Lake Villas and do like a road survey. It's very bad in our neighborhood. The comment that I had brought up was the merge.
The merge. Talk about that.
At Beggs Road and Edgewater.
Yes. Beggs Roads and Edgewater.
I've had several documented road rage incidences with Florida Highway Patrol due to
Okay, but we have that down. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so
The
sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But Amanda,
Oh, okay,
you
thank
you definitely go on over and tell them the rest of your comments so we can get that down. We appreciate
All right,
it.
thank you so much.
Thank you. I know you're passionate about that.
Jane, we have Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you live in District 2?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you tell us where?
Wait, very simple. At the last town hall, I mentioned the fact that 20 years ago, the county tried to widen Pine Hills Road and Silver Star, and we stopped it. So therefore, the first thing is the word transportation covers a myriad of sins. And I want to see exactly how the money is going to be spent. Two, the next county commissioner or mayor could change it. So therefore, we want some guarantees that when we vote for this, the money's going to go where we intended. Now, on the long run, I'd say that what we should do is put emphasis on buses and bikes to build our little community. Everything can go under that line,
Sure,
transportation.
absolutely. But you want more
So
accountability.
therefore, I want to say what segment goes
Certainly.
to buses, what segment would go to expanding bike trails and things like that,
Okay.
and what would go to the more potluck things.
Okay.
So therefore, we could see in the vote that I'm saying bikes would be vetted and buses, and therefore we can see the priority that the county wants to do.
I understand. You want a breakdown. Thank you, sir.
Thank
We
you very much.
appreciate it.
Jane, we have Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. Welcome.
Hi, I am a District 2 resident.
Perfect.
First, I just wanted to thank Orange County for the funding that you guys are giving for the septic to sewer transformation. Very thankful for that. Two things I wanted to mention is first the intersection of 436 and Wekiwa Springs Road.
436 and Wekiwa Springs Road.
It was just changed and it's horrible now. It backs up.
Up, I hear some
It's-
applause.
I'm out there at 6:30 in the morning and it's backed up. It's terrible. And the other one is the widening of Welch Road.
The what road?
Welch Road.
Welch, okay,
In
thank you.
Apopka. It backs up for miles during rush hour traffic. And then I just had a couple of questions real quick. First, I wanted to ask if with the tax increase, would there be a time frame on it, like a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year time frame, or is it just once we get it, we're stuck with it?
We can take you off to the side and you can discuss that because we're just here to get input right
Okay.
now. So if you have some
All right.
questions, you can-
Other input I had was, does it have to be a whole penny? Can it be half a penny? And then something else that I thought was really important is, what about raising impact fees? Because all of the building is what's bringing in all of the people and all of the traffic. So if the impact fees were higher, that could help to better the roads.
Well, we thank you for these, but we'll if you just go off to the side, we'll have
Some of our
someone
county
talk to you
administrators are here,
and
perhaps
answer
can
a
answer
few
some of the
questions.
questions
Just
that you
go on
might
over
have
there.
for
But
the
thank you,
gentleman.
thank you. All right.
Come on, step up. All right. He's married to a school board member, so we're terrified right now.
I am here not as my own person.
Very good. He's here as his own man. Alan is our
Alan,
next
hey,
person.
Alan, welcome. Do you live in District 2?
Absolutely. I've lived in Apopka for 2 decades, Central Florida for more than 4 decades. I'm the former chairman of the Apopka Chamber of Commerce and currently am a board member of the Chamber of Commerce. Just so you know, I know several of you I've reported on when I was a transportation reporter back in the 90s.
Oh.
And in 2008, I created the first Facebook push for Sunrail, 10,000 Friends of Sunrail, back in 2008, before anybody had ever really heard of Facebook. Want to go back to Mobility 2020. One of the reasons that lost is because us in Northwest Orange County, the only thing that was in that entire plan that focused on us was the synchronization of lights down the OBT. It would have been very helpful, but at the vote count here in Northwest Orange County was significantly lower than the rest of the county because you did not say how this was going to impact us up here. Since then, the growth is significant in this area. And as somebody who drives downtown regularly, I never know which way I'm going to go because Waze is going to tell me a different route every time because the road is so backed up. The good news is there is a low-cost solution. We talk about the spur of rail up here. Orange Blossom Express has been in the works. We spent $20 to $30 million fixing that track with the crossings, the safety guards, and I understand there are some train cars that, we can put those train cars on there and get that rolling pretty quick, providing commuter rail service from here through Rosemont, another place that needs commuter rail system, into downtown Orlando, connecting with the entire Sunrail route. It's much cheaper than a spur to Lake Nona. I know we need to go to the airport first. The other thing that I would suggest is that with Maitland Boulevard, since we've taken away the lights near the interstate, the 3 lights in the middle of Maitland from 441 to 434 are absolutely horrendous, backing up terrible. And I will say, the woman on 436 in Wekiva, I drive that every day. We've gone from a 1-light delay to a 5-light delay because of those cones put there. And I got 1 second
tell us where, that's good. What were the 3 lights?
The
where
3
were they
lights
located?
are between 441 and 434 on Maitland Boulevard.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Great solutions. All right.
Jane, the commissioner is here. Commissioner Banks.
Well, I think you live in District you live in District 2, don't you?
I sure do.
Welcome.
I've written it out so I can keep it brief.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Due to the fact that specific sectors of the county will benefit more directly than others, whether it be Sunrail, different things like that, if the people choose to pass the sales tax, we need to formulate an equitable distribution based on not only population but benefits derived.
Sure.
And as Alan was just sharing, when other things have come forward, we've not seen that equitable side. So it will cause the voters to be more acceptable if they know they're going to get something for that tax. We have a lot of desperate needs in Apopka. Number one, our lighting, our Harmon Road extension, which makes the hospital more accessible and direct, several transportation needs. And so that's really what the voters need to know. If they choose to pass it, how is that going to benefit not simply certain areas of the county, but
Right.
be equitable for all?
You're saying that what's in it for us? If you're going to offer this to us, we need to have benefits. Is that your?
Yes, and so to
solution?
formulate it not simply based upon, I was trying to think what are the different metrics we can set that upon, not simply based upon population, but also benefits derived.
Okay.
So if there are less served areas, then they might get more piece of the pie, in other words.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Okay. Tricia? It's a friend of mine, Jane. This is Tricia.
Hi, Tricia.
Tricia's
Welcome.
got some comments.
Do you live in District 2?
Yes, I'm actually the membership chairperson for the Lockhart
Okay.
People Association.
Absolutely.
So
Great
if there's
group.
any Lockhart residents and you want to be a part of People of Lockhart, it's only $10 per year.
All right.
Okay,
There's an
That's
ad
a good
for the-
bargain.
For the people
That's
of
a good
Lockhart.
bargain.
Absolutely. It is a bargain.
Yeah. So why I'm here is, number one, I'm very much in support of the sales tax. I've been living here for a little bit over 20 years, and I've seen how the commute has just increased every year. It's also, I think, important to remember that when Mayor Jacobs was in office, she did a massive advertisement, and if you remember, the catchphrase was, "You don't know the half of it." And what she was basically telling everybody in the United States, come and move to Central Florida, because you don't know the half of it. It's not just about Disney. We have jobs here. We have all these opportunities here. And so the people are here. They're coming at 1,000 people per week.
Right.
So I saw this coming, and I was a little nervous. But my response to that was, there's a 6-lane highway between Holden and 36th Street, 441.
Okay.
And I took it upon myself, after seeing so many people having such difficulty crossing that highway, because I have to go that way to work, and some of them not being able to do it. They're just standing in the rain. They're in the cold. They can't get to the bus. They want to go to work, but they can't cross the 6-lane highway. So I wrote a letter after a lady, it was December 2014. She was coming from Aldi's with her daughter, and she was struck as she tried to cross, and I thought that was the last straw.
Right.
I wrote a letter. I got an invitation from Commissioner Siplin to speak to her about it. It was a very challenging meeting, because what I discovered was that there were some people who just didn't want to spend anything on it. But for the sake of time,
But yes.
they did send me something in November 5th that they're going to be installing
They will be installing some pedestrian crossings,
pedestrian
perhaps?
hybrid beacon.
Okay.
And what I basically want to say is, we can't wait until this passes. There are
Okay.
people dying just
Right.
trying to cross the street.
Right.
And I saw an 8-year-old boy yesterday, and he couldn't cross, and I stopped.
Okay.
And he wouldn't cross because he said, yeah, you stopped, but the other two didn't.
Right.
So I just wanted to just bring that up.
We thank you. Can you go to the side and talk to one of our staff members just to get more specifics? But 441, and it's horrible to cross. Thank you. Okay.
Jane, we have Eric.
Hi, Eric. Welcome. Or do you live in District 2?
I don't. I live on the east side of town.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming all this way.
My pleasure. My first comment is about synchronizing lights.
Yes.
Where I live is off the Goldenrod area, off of 408.
Okay.
Just coming here tonight, the traffic backed up going up Goldenrod to 408 was backed up over a mile. That was at 5:15 in the afternoon. Those lights right there at 408 and Goldenrod, if they got synchronized, life would be much better over there.
408 and Goldenrod. We're writing that down right now. We thank you.
Now,
Please-
the
please
rest of my
continue.
comments are
Okay.
primarily about links, because I know if the bus system gets fixed, that will get people out of their cars. Because I used to live in Miami for 20 years. I only drove to transportation. So if we were to add express routes to Sunrail, to downtown, from both sides of town, if we would add express routes from downtown to the theme parks, instead of having a bus ride that is over an hour long to get from downtown just to Universal, things would get better. And then on top of that, your bus signs. Just having numbers tells nobody anything. I watched down at SeaWorld a couple from England miss the bus because they did not know what side of the street to be on, because there was no information on the sign to tell them which way the bus was going. And then the other thing that we can do, and again, I hate to pick on Miami-Dade County, but they've got this down to a master plan. Have a dedicated app and have a card system that would be automatic payments that you could recharge via the app.
Okay.
Because the buses are already equipped with the systems to have a prepaid card.
Thank you. Great
All right, Eric,
solutions.
we
We're
want to talk
writing
to
them
Jim
down.
Harrison, our CEO of Links. Is he
Thank
in? He
you.
can give you some more details. Jane, we have David.
Hi,
Smith.
David. Welcome.
Hi, my name is David Smith. I'm representing the people of Lockhart
So you definitely
Community
live-
Association
yes.
as well. I live in District 2.
Yes.
My main concern is Edgewater Drive, north of Claire Conacoe. The Bureau of Zoning Adjustment has been approving heavier and heavier industry on that road. Heavy truck traffic has increased. The sides of the road are collapsing. It's deteriorating at a very rapid pace. Semis are using the shoulder to park on. It's tearing it up. Those need to be strengthened and improved. Also, drainage on that road is atrocious.
Edgewater Drive,
Edgewater
north
Drive,
to Claire Conacoe.
north of Claire Conacoe at
north
an
of.
intersection of Beggs and Edgewater Drive. Again,
Okay.
It becomes a lake during heavy rains. Also, we have neighborhoods in our area. Unincorporated Orange County gets short shrift in the budgets. There are still neighborhoods that are being served by unimproved dirt roads, entire neighborhoods with multiple homes, unimproved dirt roads. This needs to be addressed. CSX Railroad, they have the rail system. They are responsible for maintaining their right-of-ways. The county needs to pressure them to clear trees, clear brush, clear trash on their right-of-way on a regular basis. They have not been maintaining their right-of-ways as they should. Branches are coming out into the road, and the semis are hitting those. I'll give you the rest of my 30 seconds. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. If you have those specific roads, David,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
If you could go over there and give them some of those specific dirt roads you were speaking about so they can write them
Yes,
down,
for
that'd
the
be great, David.
neighborhoods.
And
Thank
by the
you.
way, if you're in this hall right now and you're having a one-off with the county administrator, if you could whisper, that'd be great. If you're not having a conversation with the county administrator, if you would not mind dropping your conversation down, we can hear everything up here and it's kind of bouncing back and forth.
Welcome, sir.
Jane, this is Ed.
Ed, hello. Do you live in District 2?
I do.
Excellent.
Sort of. I am the pastor at New Life Community Church of the Nazarene in Lockhart.
Sure.
I want to bring to attention public safety. You know, the street light issue is part of it, working with OCSO to improve patrol and presence would be a major. I mean, we see the same group of homeless folks that don't want help, but they just go from one place to the next, and you see them going from one place to the next almost continually, typically the same people over the last 5 years. They have a relationship with law enforcement. Ditto on the drainage on Edgewater Drive, ditto on correcting some of these intersections, especially the one right in front of our church.
And what is that? If you
Magnolia Homes and Edgewater Drive.
Thank you.
And go over as well to the one at Claricona and Magnolia Homes Road. It's tough to go through a service time without hearing the tires squeak.
Wow.
It's just the way that the light is laid out, and they've got no left turn coming north on Edgewater, which is good, but it leads to the road rage deal. The other challenge that we face is it seems like Lockhart area has been left behind. The improvements have been allowing those industries to come in, which should be increased revenues, but it seems like the face of Lockhart continues to look like it has looked for the years that I have been here. It would be nice to see some of the improvements along the roads, the sidewalks dressed up, the right-of-ways straightened out. I think it is the county that should come up there and get their part of it corrected, then we can add to it.
Thank you, Pastor.
very much.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Jane, this is Chris.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Listen, first of all, thank you for coming out and addressing us in person. I know you all inherited this problem, and I think everyone in this room recognizes transportation is a huge problem in Central Florida. Yes. Firstly, I'd like to just say I think you should try and make the elements that you have for mass transit work better together, and also you should try to make them work better with the surrounding counties, because it's not just an Orange County problem, it's a Central Florida problem. So the elements that you should have, you should try to make work better. I also recognize that there's no way that you can't have improvements, and those are also going to cost money. Right. But I don't necessarily see that money equals results. There should be some accountability. Sure. And you should also have some oversight in that. Right. Other than that, the one thing that I would really like to see, I don't use mass transit much myself, but from a driver's perspective, every time I see a bus on the road, I get a little panic, because I know eventually they're going to have to stop and drop somebody off or pick them up, and that usually means all the traffic behind them has to stop. In congested areas, I would really like to see the ability of the bus to pull out of the traffic lane.
Or a designated lane for the buses, you're saying.
Not necessarily a designated lane for the bus, but just the ability to pull out of the through traffic lane.
Got it.
You know, it's not safe for the driver, it's not safe for the rider, and it's not safe for people who are on the roadway driving. So I would like to see something like that. Right on this road out here, Hiawassee, you can see where somebody just come and plunk down a bus stop. Okay, it's a bus stop. I recognize that there is a need for shelter, but I think more importantly, for safety considerations, it would be nice if the bus could actually get out of the through traffic lanes.
Be able to move out and get the passengers and go back on.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Chris.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Robert, yeah.
Jane, this is Robert.
Welcome, Robert.
Hey, Jane, how are you doing?
I'm doing well,
Good evening. My name is Robert Agrusa, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as the president of the Apopka Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're very delighted that you're here this evening. We thank Mayor Demings and the entire team for coming out here to our area to kind of talk about these critical issues, and transportation is a humongous issue for this community. We're the second fastest growing community in the Tri-County area, only behind Kissimmee. So with that comes some challenges, and certainly with the growth and the new development of all these new homes that have moved in the area, Well, so is also younger folks that are also moving into the communities, where opportunities like Sunrail is a true, genuine, realistic option that's out here for a spur. And we already have a lot of the right-of-way and obviously the crossings have already been upgraded on much of the opportunities to connect into downtown. It's also where we're discussing, and as a plan, is in the downtown Apopka area, where there's already a Lynx bus station, essentially located station. So now you have the interconnectivity between two modes of transportation on top of cars. And oh, by the way, we see CSX, in the room here tonight, and the 429 and the 408 are not too far away. So again, we have an opportunity to connect with all different communities, not just Apopka, but Lockhart, going up to Mount Dora, connecting over to Claremont, connecting to all different communities across Northwest Orange County and into Lake County. So it's, again, a great opportunity for us to alleviate congestion, alleviate opportunities for folks to get off the road. Certainly we need a lot of street lighting and a lot of other things that have been said tonight. But this is an easy way that I think that we can all collaborate together to truly have a commuter system and to connect better access and connectivity with an east-west connection point. Obviously, most of Sunrail is predominantly going north-south. So again, it's a great opportunity for us. And if you've seen the success that's happened in Kissimmee, I think we can have that out here in Apopka. So thank you guys very, very much for your time.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, Robert. Thank you very much, Robert. Jane, this is H.
Hi, H. Welcome.
Hi.
Do you live in?
No, I do not. But I am a traffic and safety engineer that works pretty much all around the entire state of Florida. My comment is more of, first of all, thank you. I know that this is sometimes a difficult situation to think about.
Hang on 1 second. Can we pause the clock? One more time. If you're in this room and you're talking, if you would, hang on 1 second.
Ladies and gentlemen, could we have a
little... If you're in this
little...
room and you're talking, if you'd please lower your voice. We can hear you all the way up here. Okay?
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank
H.
you.
One more
Go
time.
ahead, H.
Go ahead, H. Let's give H 10 more seconds. Can we do that?
I will.
Let's add some time to the clock.
Oh, thank you. Well, what I want to do is just thank everyone, because making engineering decisions, planning decisions, and growth in transportation is not always easy. There is a process. And you guys are going through that process in a very transparent way, which is very good for your public. Some of the suggestions that I have is not just for the, decision makers side, but for us as a community. There is a community traffic safety team for just about every single county here. If you have concerns, please go to it, because it is staffed or participated by all the 4 E's, which we call engineering, education, emergency services, and, oh good, I always forget the fourth E, and enforcement. Thank you, for law enforcement. So basically, the Orange County is led by the law enforcement. But that's a great forum in which you can talk about your concerns and your issues, but you also work together to get to a solution. And there's the opportunity to find out, are there other funding sources to get things done, how it's prioritized, as well as how those decisions are made. Because I know we live in a time where we say something, we want it done immediately, but there is a process and it takes time. And I think that's something good, and I challenge those that are concerned about things to be a part of this team, find out these venues. And I also still want to continue to thank everyone who is trying to move things forward for the citizens. I've had the opportunity to serve on these teams for over 20 years. I've had the responsibility that's overwhelming to try to come up with projects of anywhere from $10 to $15 million per year. That's not easy, because you're trying to balance everyone's need. So I hope everybody thinks about that, remembers that. But I also commend everyone's passion in wanting to make things better for their community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, H.
Thank you for your
Appreciate that.
comments.
Jane, this is Danny.
Hey,
from
Dan.
Lockhart.
Welcome.
By the way, Christine, I was at the wall today. Colton and I were there with Lisa. It's looking great. Outstanding. Sales tax, $600 million annually. Okay, Christine has put LED lighting in, additional paint on the roadways, revamped Riverside Park with no additional funding. Okay, if it's a number of people that are coming here compared to maybe of a sales tax, why don't we go ahead and maybe do an impact fee for the people that are coming here? Collier County did it. It cost 26 grand just to move into a house in Collier County. The reason why I wonder, best proof, the Orlando Expressway Authority was insanely corrupt. Okay, that was a recent issue in 2014. Okay, the cost overruns on I-4. That was a concern. Okay, through the Lynx website alone, today, I was looking at it. For their 2030 plan, they're spending $2,600 on a bench, $2,000 on a garbage can. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's something wrong with that pricing. Okay? Point two is Orlando Sentinel and West Orange Times, it was one of them, that had an article about the 50 worst intersections in Central Florida.
Yes.
Okay? I-4 was almost half of them. Why now? Okay, the state of Florida and the U.S. government has already spent billions of dollars to fix I-4 to solve the problem. But yet we're going to go ahead and charge an extra penny sales tax without even waiting to see what the I-4 improvements actually do? Look at Maitland Boulevard. Maitland Boulevard is going to be a breeze once that gets done. Okay? There's a lot of roadways around. Why don't we hold off a little bit, wait on transportation, get our act together, and figure out what we're actually going to do with it? And just as a side note, let's pay our teachers. The taxpayers of Orange County, what's going to give us a better return on our investment of a 1% sales tax than a half-cent sales tax to get good teachers in here, to be able to recruit from all over the state? Thank you,
sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right. This is our last speaker tonight.
Last but not least, Jamie,
that's
Rob.
right. Welcome.
Ready, Rob?
Yes.
All right.
I am Pastor Rob Arnold from
Hi,
Lockhart
Rob.
Baptist Church.
Wonderful.
We're located right at the corner of Beggs and Rosemont and Edgewater.
Okay.
I just want to express our appreciation for all of you all being willing to come out, Mayor Demings, Christine Moore. And I do want to thank Christine Moore for the work she's doing, like the mural and the beautification process.
Yes.
I do think that the people of Lockhart would be more interested in maybe supporting a sales tax increase if we knew that we would get emphasis and attention, because we feel like in the past there have been things like this and Lockhart's been overlooked. I know that we've talked about landscaping, widening Edgewater. It's really getting to a critical situation right there at that corner. I see accidents all the time, and they talked about other things that are going on there. But from Forest City Road all the way to Pine Hills, Edgewater through to where it turns into Beggs, we just really need some attention.
So, Pastor, you're saying you need to see yourself in this plan, that the people in this room, if they're going to vote for it, need to see themselves in this plan.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'm going to invite up Commissioner Moore to say a few things, and then Mayor Demings will close it out. Thank you, everyone, so much for your comments.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't worry, I don't dress like this to most meetings. It's Christmas season, and I actually played a concert in Claremont tonight. So thank you so much for coming. It is challenging for you to be here at this time of year, and it means so much for us to hear what you're thinking, whether you like the tax, you don't, if you have other ideas, what our needs are, because we are truly here to serve you. This is not a one-time only situation, so keep calling our office, come to meetings, share with us with your concerns. I can tell you that Public Works does a fabulous job. I called myself 311 one day. I couldn't read the stop sign. The orange was faded. The sign was falling. It was leaning. And believe it or not, they were out 3 hours later and had it repaired. And so the Orange County government prides itself on good customer service. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And I know the mayor appreciates it. Now, we might be at Wekiva High School, Mayor, but we do have another team from Apopka going to the state championship. And he's a big Jones fan. And I'm razzing him because I'm going to the game. And you haven't promised to go to your Jones game yet. You're going? Okay, it's only because I ask him about it every single day. But anyway, we love our Wekiva Mustangs, and we love our Darters, and of course we have Ocoee Knights as well in the district. And talk about Edgewater, I really should be bragging on Edgewater as well. And so there she goes. I do have quite a bit of College Park District too. So thank you for coming tonight. And again, keep talking to us. Let us know what the needs are. And I hope we'll all work together to make this county a better place. Thank you.
All right. You all have listened very patiently tonight. You've heard an awful lot. The goal was to make this informative for you. And as you've heard, in order to perfect a plan going forward, we needed the citizens' input. We are taking the information that we have here. We will perfect that plan, and sometime in the spring, we will develop a plan of action with a project list, if you will. We have been working with the municipalities to try to have them identify potential projects that they would like to have done. This tax is not about supplanting. We don't want to do what happened in the case of the Florida lottery, for example, that was supposed to be all about education. And unfortunately, what the state of Florida did, existing revenue sources, they simply reallocated funds and replaced it with lottery funds. What we're saying to our municipal partners is that if you have capital improvement plans that include certain projects, you need to continue to do that. What we're talking about is new money, leveraging that on top of what we were already doing. Before we would ask you to vote for this initiative in November of next year, we will have a published list of the potential things that we would do. In terms of the oversight for that, in order for this to get to the ballot, in the late spring, the Board of County Commission will have to take this up and vote. We will have to have the majority of our board vote to put this on the ballot. Once that would occur, then we would move forward. This is a political campaign because at this point, it will become a political campaign. I will say that to you. Anytime that you ask people to vote for something on a ballot, that becomes a political campaign. At this point, what we're doing is providing information, getting information, and so like every other political campaign, there will be a separate team of leaders that will lead this effort to raise money, to advertise and communicate specifically with the electorate about the plan of action, if you will. Going forward, yes, there will be some accountability. The reason why we have been very intentional about going to every corner of Orange County, in a 1,000 square mile county, I've told you that tonight personally, I have done 117 different meetings with different individuals. I don't know if you've ever had your local elected officials do that many meetings in your neighborhoods to hear from you, but we're doing that. So what we want you to do is to see yourself in the storyline when you'll be asked to go to the ballot. You must see how it will benefit you. If you don't see how it benefits you, you know what will happen? You will vote no. But if you see how it will benefit you in different ways, I believe that there are entrepreneurial opportunities here. I believe that there will be businesses that currently are there with building the system that we're talking about. You're talking about people from the concept stage, the engineers, the architects, the designers, right down to the person who will be out actually doing the construction work that would be engaged in this for decades to come. In terms of the period of time that the sales tax would potentially sunset, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. We're gauging that based on the feedback from you all that we're receiving. Now, we ask you, if you have not completed the surveys tonight, you have the opportunity to complete it and turn it in. Otherwise, you can certainly go online and complete the surveys. We're taking that information, and that will help us perfect the plan going forward. I hope that you are leaving tonight better informed than when you came here. Now, I've spent nearly 4 decades of public service. There have been times during my nearly 40-year career where I asked people to trust me, sometimes with their life. Not many people get to make life or death decisions, but I have. And I was born and raised here in this community. I'm a product of this community. What I am trying to do and ensure is that we are taking care of our community, and we're doing the best thing that we possibly can do for this community. A visionary is someone who anticipates the need for something before it's needed, and they take action in a timely manner. I anticipate that the transportation needs of our community are significant and will continue to worsen if we do nothing. Now, some people who came here tonight said, I don't support it. I don't support taxes, tax increases, and I'm here to tell you that no matter what we do in terms of trying to come up with solutions, they wouldn't support it. That's just the way they are. But if you can see the vision that we're trying to create for you to better this community, for your children, for yourselves, perhaps your grandchildren. My grandchildren live here. My children live here. My 97-year-old father is still here in this community. He came here in 1939 to Apopka, Florida from Alabama. So when I go to work every day, I go to work with the attitude that I'm trying to make this community better, not just for all of you, but for my family as well. I would not be advancing this if I did not absolutely believe that this is what it takes. So I'm asking the residents of Orange County to, once again, to trust me with this is the best option for us at this time. At this time. So thank you all very much for coming. I have walked around the room to try to engage different ones of you in dialogue. We appreciate your patience in listening to us tonight, and stay tuned. Further information will follow. Merry Christmas, by the way. Merry Christmas, everybody.